Because I hadn't seen the show before I got the job, and I went to watch it the day before we started rehearsals. And I was like, I should probably go and watch this show. So I went and sat in row AA of the New London Theatre, right at the front. And I remember there's Baby Joey on at the start, and then he transforms into Big Joey, comes down, and then Albert, the lead, he runs up and he vaults onto Joey with no help. He literally just jumps onto Joey, and then Joey gallops off. And I went, oh my God, people get on top, I didn't know this. I can't do that. And then I remember looking up at the guy who was in the heart, and he was dripping with sweat. And they did these rears, and I didn't know that was a thing that happened. And I said, fuck, I can't do this. Maybe I should back out. And lo and behold, it was the best time of my life.
Right. Hello everyone! Well, here we are. We're back. When we said we were going to take a break for Christmas, we meant until next Christmas.
That is totally what happened.
That is intentional right there. Yeah, no, sorry we've been away. Sorry. Thank you so much for your patience, guys. We are back. And we have some very exciting interviews lined up for you this season. Woo-woo. We have something new. We're going to talk a bit more about acting, but more specifically, we are chatting to a wonderful actor who worked on Warhorse for over a year. It is the glorious Tom Norman.
We'll go on my first whistle.
We'll start with boring. Actually, I kind of do want to ask the question, when did you start acting?
Well,
but
my very first performance was at the age of 7 in The Elephant Child at the Seaton Infant School play.
Wait, The Elephant Child?
It's apparently a story about an elephant baby who doesn't have a trunk and he gets a trunk. And from the very start, I played Dad. I was Dad.
In The Elephant
Child, telling the story to his child. He was played by Michael Teleschke, wherever you are. Oh. And then there was a monkey who played his xylophone.
We're in the same show?
In the same show.
Cool.
Multi-rolling.
How big was the cast?
However many children were in my year.
Oh, right. So you all had, it was compulsory.
Oh, yeah.
So that was your first ever acting experience?
Yes.
Yeah. And then did you do any, was that the third? Did you know from that performance as Dad and Monkey Xylophone that you were going to be an actor, or was there a day? Was there
No mate. Nope. I remember the day that I decided I never wanted to. Not that there's anything wrong with them, because I've seen a lovely one with Torval and Dean in at Manchester. Do a panto.
Mm-hmm.
Was my grandma took me to watch our cousins. Call them our cousins now. Our cousins in a panto at home, and I turned to my grandma afterwards and she went, "Did you enjoy that?" I was like, "No, it was crap, I never want to come to this again." And so I didn't until I was 23.
Did you go as in you
didn't watch panto until I was from the age of 7 to 23.
Okay. So cool. So but then was there a moment was there a piece of theatre that you saw or anything that made you want to, and not do a panto, but
No, the reason that I ended up doing amateurs when you're a kid is that my mum was sick of me fannying about at home, and she went, "I've put your name down for the amateurs, you start next week and now you can go and act daft with someone who cares." Great, thanks Mum. I went to Unit 18, I just stopped doing any form of performing or music or singing for a year and a half to a friend of mine, Katie Birchall. She was like, "I put your name down for My Fair Lady in my second year." I was like, "Not going to go. Just not going to go, mate." I went. And did that. Yeah, I went and did that, and then I ended up in the drama club and stayed in it.
You're stuck.
Well, I was meant to go and do a Masters in forensic speech science at York, an MSc in forensic speech science, which is like voice fingerprinting at University of York. But I went to Edinburgh Fringe instead, and then ended up going to the Royal Welsh. I loved my audition day. I loved the people who I auditioned with. I loved Cardiff. As soon as I got to Cardiff, I'd never been to South Wales. We used to go to North Wales, like we used to go to Llandudno and stuff when I was a kid. And I'd been to Llanfairpwllgwyn and I'd been to Rhyl and stuff. Cracking week's holiday in a caravan at the end of our first year of uni in Rhyl. It's an incredible college. Awesome. Everyone should go.
Everyone should go.
Royal Welsh.
Woo! Awesome. So over the year, what did the course kind of entail? Like, what did the actual? What was like your daily timetable there, or what was your weekly hours and stuff like that?
Well, God knows, I need to swear that. Mine usually entailed me getting up at about 7:30 to have a cafetiere, a couple of Barocca, 3 paracetamol, and to try and get over the hangover from the night before. And then pretend I could sing. So you'd have rep lessons, personal singing lessons with your tutor, and I'd never had a singing lesson before I went, and so they'd break you down before you do anything. Voice lessons, which I was told off in my very first one because I knew what phonetics were because I'd done an English language degree, so I was told to be quiet. Answering the question. And then you'd have like modules. We had this terrible module called Acting Through Song.
Oh yes, yeah.
And then some incredible ones. Our improv class was incredible. Our and they had like showcase class and we did period dance and all of this, which was great. And our final musical was Merrily, We're All Alone.
Oh.
Didn't necessarily enjoy it that much at the time, but fucking love it in hindsight.
Yeah.
Cracking show.
And did you have a showcase and everything?
Yeah.
And how long did? How did you find?
Very relaxed.
Very relaxed. Oh yeah, no. For those who you can't see right now, but Tom is lounged across this sofa, and with a gin and with a water.
With a really strong.
Water, and but basically, did you find? Because I have no idea. I'm completely ignorant to this, but did you find there was any difficulty getting any agents and stuff along to the showcase, casting directors and stuff?
Not probably more so than what they get to their normal showcase for the BAs and the MAs because it was new, and I'm sure it's not the case now. But with the reputation that Welsh Call has, it was perfectly fine. And because there was only 10 of us on the Masters and we had an hour, we all had in theory 6 minutes each. That's an hour, right? Yeah. We all 6 minutes, didn't do well in math. I mean, I did A-stat, but don't tell me. Is that math? Yeah. And so we all had quite a long time, song and monologue, and you do one in Cardiff, and we might even do 2 in Cardiff actually, and they've got incredible theatre in the Royal Welsh now, the Richard Burton Theatre, it's beautiful. And then we did it in Trafalgar Studios.
Oh, nice.
In London a couple of days later, which was cracking. I think most of us got someone out of it.
Cool.
So you got a cracking agent out of here.
Nice.
Did fuck all with it.
So you graduated with an agent. Cool. And how long did it take? Until you got like your first job? Would you say like how?
I wasn't with that agent.
Okay.
I wasn't with that agent anymore.
Ah.
Well, not a job through them. I wasn't with them. And they were a really good agent, and it was of my own fault that I didn't get the jobs. Really, I was getting through rounds. I was getting to finals, and wasn't getting the jobs. Some of them wasn't necessarily my fault because I can't age as dramatically as you want me to for Billy Elliot in 6 months. Not that I'm bitter about it or anything. But if Pippa's listening, cut it out. So I got in for great stuff and was penciled for some great stuff and I didn't get them, which is all my doing, not my agent's doing. So I did some like little things, at like the Lost Theatre, and I didn't really get a proper job until after that agent dropped me, and then 6 weeks later I got Warhorse.
Amazing. Was that were you with an agent? Did you get Warhorse through an agent,
No.
new agent, or was that off you applied it for yourself?
Off my own back. It came to Spotlight. Lucy and Suki. Lucy and Suki put it on Spotlight, and I might have told a couple of fibs in my applications, said I've seen the show, loved it, saw it at the National 7 years ago. Watched it on YouTube. And then at the time I was being courted by another agency, which turned out to be a disaster in the end, and took a lot of my money for a job they never got me. So I applied myself whilst I was without an agent, and whilst I hadn't signed to this other agency.
And which tour? Was this for the tour at the time?
It was the tour.
Global or the UK?
It was, I guess you could call it global. We did UK, Ireland and South Africa.
Oh, amazing. Sweet.
And then I joined the Dutch tour in Holland and Belgium for a few months after that.
Was that through the same, did they like ask, like, do you mean?
Yeah, we were
You know
all
Thomas, yeah.
former Warhorses, so it was only a couple of months after we'd finished, and then a couple of people from town as well.
I guess I was going to completely nail my next question. So I was going to ask if, by performing in different countries that may not necessarily speak English, if the story still carried, and although I guess I can still ask, like, did you find the reactions from different did you find countries generally responded very differently to the piece?
Yes, so I mean, all of the UK, I know that the First World War is 100 years ago, but we were doing it in the centenary year of the start of the First World War, 2014. Well, 13 to 15 we did it, but all of 2014. So we had a lot of anniversaries that went through, centenary anniversaries, and I think that within this country there's no one who doesn't have some connection, whether it be a grandparent or a great-grandparent, or even older people, a parent, who was involved in the First World War, and also the Second World War, or kind of any war. Like my great granddad, Tom Bellis, he was in the First and Second World War. He was in the 1919 War of Afghanistan and all that. And so all the uniforms that we were wearing was like the uniforms that he would wear. Well, there's pictures of him on horses because he had a horse because he was in the army at the time. And so my granddad didn't go to war in the Second World War. He stayed on the services, and he kind of avoided it because it reminded him of his dad, who died in the end of the Second World War, and it was very close to his heart, the First World War, because he was born 6 years after the start of the First World War, at the end of the First World War, 1924. So it was very close to his heart, especially with his dad being involved and his uncles being involved. I think everyone in this country embraces it because we all have a affinity with war in some way, shape or form. Everyone knows of someone in the family that was in the war. And also this country, we have an affinity with horses. Humans have an affinity with horses, it's just a thing. And we don't like to see animals get hurt. And spoiler, they do in Warhorse. And in like other countries, so Ireland exactly the same. South Africa, the reaction was unbelievable. I don't know whether it's because the puppets were from there, so it's made a certain part, Kalk Bay in South Africa, very famous. It was like Warhorse's homecoming. But I mean, we did the most incredible show for these 2,000 township kids who had never seen theatre before, or Western, not Western theatre, like theatre like we would do it, because obviously theatre is a huge part of South African culture. Music is especially, and puppetry is. And so when we did it for these 2,000 township kids from the shanty towns, it was the most incredible reaction you've ever heard in your life, and everyone on stage was in tears from the start to the end of the show. and it's something that I can't really describe, and it was something we weren't expecting to have a reaction. That reaction, it was like being Justin Bieber for you new guys, or the Beatles for you dads, or the Spice Girls for my generation. It was unbelievable, and will be something I'll never experience in the future again. But we were sold out all the time, like completely sold out. And we had the ex-president of South Africa came and saw us, Thabo Mbeki, which is incredible. And we were treated a bit like royalty, which was really nice. Holland, the guys, as British guys who went over, came to it at the end of its run. And Holland is a huge part of the First World War. Through Holland, and especially Belgium, because where we were in Belgium, in Antwerp, in Belgium, and it's on the Dutch border, Ypres, which is where the end is, kind of. It's where the end of Warhorse is, where the First World War ended, is known as, and there's huge graves there, huge war graves. Surprisingly, didn't do that well in Belgium. Whether it's because Flemish people and Belgians had gone and watched it in Holland, I don't know, because they're very interlinked. It's a very small area of the world, and everyone travels. I don't know if that was the case, but it didn't do as well as we going over there had expected. Which I don't really know why. I guess there's not a huge amount of humans in Belgium. And like I said, it's already been on for a year in Holland, so maybe they've gone to see it, but I don't know. So in this country, to sum up, in this country, South Africa, much more than we expected. But again, I guess a lot of the people there are descendants of Dutch people, are descendants of British people, and they were involved in the war. It was colonial Britain and colonial Holland at the time, so soldiers would have been involved. In the First World War, made to be involved, unfortunately.
How much time do you get to explore the cities that you're visiting and the countries you're visiting? So, and on that, which is your favourite city that you've been to?
So, part one of my answer, I've done Warhorse big tour, then I've done some smaller tours as well. So Warhorse was a different animal. It's really difficult to say, and also really enjoyable, because we put down the shortest amount of time we put down in a city was 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. We stayed in some cities for 9 weeks.
Oh wow!
And in Manchester we stayed for 9 weeks twice, so it was 4.5 months. One the Christmas, one in the summer. I went to University of Manchester, so it was a joy. But we don't say so I'd say a different filler. So we got a huge opportunity to explore these different cities. Some better than others. There is a period of 6 weeks of my life in Birmingham I'd quite like to forget. No offence to any Brummies, but we didn't get along for many reasons. Many reasons. I like the bull ring though, if that helps in it. We did 2.5 weeks here, 4 weeks there, 6 weeks here, 7 weeks there, 9 weeks there, 6 weeks in Joburg, 5 weeks in Cape Town, that sort of thing. So we got a chance to really explore these places, and most of us were away from home for all this time. So we all lived together, we all played together, we all worked together, and so we spent all our spare time together as well as our working time, and we got to discover these cities properly. But when we went to Manchester, John, who was on tour with me, he'd never been to Manchester, and so Manchester was my university city, so I lived there for 3 years, and so I know it inside out, love it with all my heart. And so I was like, right, I'm gonna. John, I might have lied there. I think he said, I don't like Manchester, and I was like, right, come on, I'm gonna show you my Manchester, and we'll have a cracking time, and we did. and also got a chance to find new places that didn't exist when I was there. And then I've done tours, like the last one that I was on, which was another puppetry show where we were in somewhere for like a day. On, thankfully, in most places, because some places, Chesterfield, dire. Cracking flea market though, but God, the rest of it.
All my mate from Chesterfield, I'll have to tell
Whoa,
this one.
You've got a lovely spiral church spire. That's all you've got going for you. No offense.
No,
but the winding wheel. You're joking? It's not a theatre. Never going to work in Chesterfield again. But we had, so we on Warhorse on that tour got a chance to explore a lot, and have fun together and South Africa was the most insane place in the world that I'd ever been, and on one of our days off was that we had Mondays off in South Africa, and we went skydiving in the morning, and then we had drinks. And then we went shopping, and then we went to watch Pet Shop Boys in the Cape Town Town Hall at night time. And it was insane. Like that was a day off. Or you'd go to the beach in the morning, spend a few hours on the beach, swim in the sea, or go surfing or something down in the place with the lovely huts. Can't remember what it's called. And then go and do a show at night time. It was insane. Absolutely insane. Or go and climb up Table Mountain and learn how to scuba dive, paraglide off a hill, off a mountain towards the sea, towards Robben Island. It was insane. So I guess Cape Town.
Yeah.
I guess Cape Town, but I don't know if that's right. Let's go with Cape Town. Kaapstad. In Afrikaans.
So, last question about Wars before we move on. Small one. Would you consider doing it again?
700% yes.
Yeah.
Well, there was the new tour that's going out. There was an alumni group. There was 8 of us who had been asked to go in and run around and do shit. And they decided to take no alumni, kind of. Anyway, in the puppeteers. But I've absolutely said to them, look, if you need cover, I'm there in a heartbeat. That show will never leave my heart. It's the most incredible show. Oh no, I can't say that because I won't get a job. There are better written, script-wise plays, I think, my opinion. No one else's. Our opinions are Tom Norman's. But when it's all put together with the cast and the set and the storytelling and the puppets, it evokes this reaction from audiences that I have rarely seen from a different show. And I can't think of a show that I will ever be in again that will do that.
So, Wars is not the only puppeting job you have done since. And I was wondering how transferable the skills you learn, because you learned so much during Wars. Doing another show with puppets.
Yeah.
Is it like literally transferring skills straight to it, or is it completely different? Is it like learning a whole new skill?
It depends on the style of puppetry, because the handspring style of puppetry is one style of puppetry, which I think is now recognised as a style of puppetry. In my head it is anyway, and I think within a lot of circles it is. But like, if someone threw me a marionette, I don't bloody well know what to do with that. Like, I can maybe move its feet. I think marionettes are a phenomenal skill. I really, really do, and I think it takes years to learn how to do marionettes. How do I wear this? On the whole, in theory, if you've done a style of puppetry, you're going to be able to pick up a different style of puppetry easier. It's like I said, I've never done the style of puppetry that Avenue Q is. But I think as a person who's done musical theatre and acting and puppetry, that if I got a job on Avenue Q, then, or a similar show to Avenue Q, then I would be able to do it. It would take me a little time to get used to the fact that I'm meant to be there, as it were, but I reckon I could do it. If someone threw me a marionette, then I'd not be able to do it. I don't think. But recently I did a shadow a shadow puppetry thing, which I've not got much experience in, with a friend of mine and for a friend of his, and so I could go straight into that and know what I was meant to do, I guess, whilst being given direction because of my previous puppetry experience. And the same friend, we recently did this dinosaur tour called Dinosaur World, great for kids, 3 and up, which they kind of were the same sort of style of puppets as the Warhorse puppets are, ones where you're involved in them, but also at certain points you were meant to be human. And then I've done a bit of TV puppetry where you're on what are known as long rod puppets, where you're removed from the puppet, and also you're working if you're doing it on TV, you're often working on a reverse screen or a straight screen. And also there's 2 sets that are the same set, identical sets, and so that rods aren't crossing over because they get cut out in post-production. You're working, not looking at the puppet, what you're doing, you're looking at this screen whilst you're in the same scene with your puppet's in the same scene with the 2 other puppets that are in this scene, but you're all on the same screen. Does that make sense? Did I explain that very well?
I think so.
2 separate sets, everyone's transposed onto the same screen, so that you're in the same scene, but you're not crossing over humans and rods and arms. And so when I did that was my first experience of that. I think a lot of puppetry, and I'm sure a lot of puppeteers would disagree with me, but maybe because I wasn't a trained puppeteer when I came to it, is very much a case of learning on the job.
Yeah.
And being open to just be like, yeah, absolutely I'll do it. And being aware of the fact that, yeah, it's probably going to hurt. Because you're probably going to spend a lot of time in
Physio.
a really awkward, really awkward position.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not often a walk in the park, it's very much a physical job.
And have you found that since doing because Warhorse taught you all these skills, and have you found that now having the skill set has definitely, like, yes or no, put you in a massive advantage in auditions for other puppetry shows? Would you feel, let's say, intimidated if you were auditioning against future you? Do you know what I mean? So let's say you before Warhorse was in the same audition for you now in Warhorse, would you be like, I'm screwed compared to that guy?
I'd bloody well hope that me now was better than former me.
Yeah.
At puppets. Otherwise, shit man, what a waste of 4 years.
Do you feel like all these puppetry shows will teach people, or do you feel like Warhorse is an exception to that rule? Is it a difficult niche of theatre to break into if you haven't done?
Okay, yeah. So it's a growing niche because it's really on vogue at the moment, and for good reason. But it is, and this probably means I'll never get another puppetry job ever, but it is quite a closed circle of human beings, because the people who are doing it want to improve and know who they're working with and want to work with incredible people. My friend Mikey Brett, next day, phenomenal puppeteer. We've done the last sort of 3 or 4 jobs together over the last 6 months. On my last 3 or 4 puppetry jobs together. We're both ex-Warhorses. He's a phenomenal puppeteer and works in everything. He and a phenomenal voice manipulator as well. So he does a lot of TV puppetry for like Jim Henson and stuff like that, for Chester Hotel and all this. And I feel like he works all the time because he knows so many people. He's so good that everyone knows who he is, and so they want to work with him. And so I've, in the last sort of nearly a year, I guess, of working with him, I feel like I've improved as a puppeteer and learned so much more as a puppeteer because of working with someone who has worked with all these other people and learned off of all these other people and has learned his craft from all these other people in this closed circle. So that's a pro of being quite a closed circle of human beings. I guess the con is that there's someone out there who doesn't know these people who is the best puppeteer that's ever existed. And the way to get into that is get into Warhorse.
Yeah.
just get into Warhorse.
Just be in Warhorse. If you can take anything from this young aspiring actor who's listening to this podcast right now, just be in Warhorse.
Just be in Warhorse, mate. It's really good for you.
Yeah, it's just,
It's not great for your knees, though.
Oh. Actually, on that, how often did you... I don't want to be dramatic and say get injured, but like during Warhorse and...
I very proudly did not go off at all.
Nice.
In 550 shows,
But-
if you include Holland.
And what is the average, would you say, well, obviously you probably don't know the stats to head, but like... That's
People get
like-
injured,
People get injured.
especially in Warhorse, all the time. It's a very difficult show, and it's the reason that there's 4 teams is to rotate, to lessen the burden on your body. Originally there used to be 2 teams, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying, Craig and Toby and Tim and Finn, that it was too much, and the horses were heavier as well at the time.
Yeah, they're getting lighter and lighter.
The horses were much heavier. They all kind of 8 shows of doing that got broken.
Yeah.
Shoulders and knees and collarbones, and literally one person has broke his back in that horse. As he was a hard puppeteer, really too high, went backwards, broke his back, had to be stretched off. Bless him. But yeah, I personally, thankfully, and also through being very stubborn, didn't go off. I did get injuries, like my knee, but that's kind of a previous thing, but I always wore knee supports. My neck on the smaller horses when we went to South Africa. Knots in my shoulder blades. Hands as a heart puppeteer, from the way that the thing is, hands would I'd wake up with like claw hand. Had to in agony used to have to get out of the horse and put them in a bucket of ice. Lots of deep heat. I definitely took a lot of paracetamol. Overdoing it. I had physio 3 or 4 times a week. I had acupuncture, dry needling. I tried to do preventative physio rather than reparative, I guess that's a word, physio. So I didn't wait until I was injured. If I felt something, I'd be like, get it sorted now. Go to Cheryl, who's our physio, and get it sorted now. Rather than waiting to get injured. And also I was very stubborn. So I just refused to go off.
Yeah.
When I really should have.
I know I said we wouldn't talk about Warhorse anymore, but here we are talking about it. But
Standard! Woo!
If you could give one little bit of advice to someone who's auditioning for Warhorse, even though I'm not sure if this is the last tour or whatever that's happening right now, but let's say it's going on for 10 more years, which I hope it does.
It'll be back.
It'll be back.
He'll be back in time.
What would you say to someone? What do you think the biggest piece of advice you could give someone who's either auditioning for it or about to start? Or
This sounds really wanky, but don't say no. Just say yes to whatever they ask you to do, whatever sounds wrong. If it sounds too abstract, if it sounds like you can't do it, if it sounds like you... that's maybe not very good advice. If it sounds like... yeah, it's definitely not good advice, but it's correct advice. If it sounds like you won't be able to do it and you believe it to be too dangerous, don't say no. Say, okay, I'll give it a try. And if you can't do it, you can't do it. But I think you'd be very, very surprised in what your body will be able to do.
So I have only one last question for you. Tom, what next?
This evening?
No, I mean, what's next for you in your career? I mean, I know already, but can you announce it?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been told. Can I?
I don't know.
The next job that I'm doing, which is after speaking about puppetry for an hour and a bit, is something that actually makes me scared. Is a completely singing show and it's the 12 tenors that does tours Europe. I'm not a tenor. Don't know if you'll be able to tell from
I'm not a tenor.
my dulcet tones. But it's like the 11 tenors and Tom. But that wasn't like, didn't sell it. I put it to them.
It doesn't have the same ring to it.
Doesn't have the same ring to it, and it was a job that I didn't ever expect to be in for, would never have expected to get, and was in for and got.
A
Don't say no.
A lesson for everyone. You never know.
Even if you hate auditions as much as I do, even if they give you the song on the day to sing, in the room, really badly printed, and you shake like I do, and you don't really know the words or the tune, and the pianist can't play songs, he's clearly playing with his feet, just go with it. What terrible
and it might
advice.
be a 12 tenors.
And that is terrible advice from a no one.
Well, that was. Thank you very much.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to So What Next. As usual, please leave a like, comment, favorite, subscribe, telling us what you enjoy. We hope you like all the new episodes lined up for you this season. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Now let's get pissed. Drink more water.